Okay guys, well it's been a while since I've been out here in the shop to film something, but today I've got a little job to do here. A buddy of mine wanted some pulleys made for some belt drive kits, so I told him I'd turn him up some pulleys and broach the keyways in them for him. So I've got the blanks all turned out and I put some tape on the bottom here. These press plates, they're the ones that came with the press, and they're really rough, and over a period of time they get a lot of things on them that cause problems with aluminum, especially if you're pressing against them. So I usually take either some real thin balsa wood or something and put underneath of what I'm working on so it doesn't gouge up the finish or whatever, and I put some tape on, just painter's tape, something like bullfrog tape or something, just to give it a little layer of protection, and then put down some balsa wood or something sacrificial to press against rather than just pressing against this rough plate surface here. And it could have some bits and pieces of steel stuck in the paint or whatever that cause problems with the finish. So as I said, we're going to broach these pulleys. I've got 6 of these motor pulleys to do. Here we got the broach. This is a 3/16 broach, and hey, it's just your typical broach set from Shaw's. Comes with different sizes, and then you've got the shim that goes in. You run it through one time and then you put a shim in, and it takes up the rest of the distance it takes for the key. So one pass takes out a certain amount of material, and then the next pass you put this in and it takes this much material out, which finishes up the journal for the key. So this is just a standard 20-ton Harbor Freight press. I usually have a air cylinder up here, but I'm over in another shop now and I don't have comfortable air access over here. It's an outbuilding from my main shop, and I got this over here storage right now just for not having a room for it in the other shop. So we'll see if we can get these keyways broached in these pulleys. And I don't know how well this is going to go over trying to film it. This is when you really need a buddy to kind of take a video for you, but we'll see what we can do about trying to get this captured for him. He wanted to see how, or at least how I do it anyway. It ain't how it's necessarily done, but this is how I do it. It's how I've always seen it done, and I may be doing something wrong, I may not be doing something wrong. It gets the job done either way. So, alright, well, I'm going to put this camera back on the stand and try to get a good angle here so we can see what's going on. I got 6 to do, so maybe I can get enough footage to get some details in it too. So, alright, I'll bring you back when I get the camera on the stand and try not to jostle you around too much more. Okay, so I got the camera back on the stand. What I've done is I've set this up so that here you can see there's a aluminum block. It's an aluminum block right here between the broach and the ram of the cylinder. The broach here goes up against the block, and I've got it here for space. Also, it's a good idea to protect your broach, because if this end gets swedged out here on the end, it will no longer fit through the bung that goes in the pulley down here. This bung right here has a slot that's just big enough for this broach to slide through. It has a guide. It takes up all the slack inside the pulley, so that this broach only has one place to go, and it cuts that key journal in the wall of the pulley. So if you damage the end of your broach, then your broach won't fit through your bung here. So I usually try to keep something in between the broach and the ram in order to keep this from happening. Now you can file this off, clean it off if it swedges out or whatever, because the last order of business is this last tooth right here, and the rest of this just slides through. And you know, it's I guess it's for pushing purposes, and maybe somebody's got a vertical broaching machine that they can load these broaches in, and you slide this up into the mandrel and tighten a set screw on it or something, and then you just push it through and pull it back out. But I don't know that you would be limited on your thickness here as to what you could broach. So this probably is just for manual pushing. Generally I end up having to push this all the way down to the top of this bung here before I can get it out. So most likely this is just set up for manual use, and you would never load it in anything like a vertical machine. Probably has a longer stem here on the broach to use for grabbing. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do with this. As I say, I don't have the air cylinder on here right now because it's a little bit hard to get air over here. So it's going to be a little herky-jerky. As you can see, it has a tendency to, as the broach goes through, it's hard in some places until all the broach gets engaged. Like right now, it's starting to engage. So see if I can get this thing to show you what I'm doing here. Get a little bit of detail footage. Now, as you're pushing this broach through, sometimes they'll have a tendency to try and it's mainly from your cylinder, but what will happen is the whole thing will start leaning one side to the other. What it'll do is it'll start leaning, like it'll lean this way or it'll lean that way as you're pushing this down. So you back off a little bit, clear it, and let it get that tension out of it, and then start pushing again ever so many units of measure or so. I'd say a couple of teeth or so, and back off a little bit and then go back at it again, just because it's probably changing, because none of this is precision here. If you were using a broach machine or something, you could do it all in one stride, no problem. But this thing is probably changing as it's going down. There's no way to make this perfect with the surface, so you're not necessarily pushing perpendicular to your bed, so it's going to create tensions. So just try to take it a little bit at a time and back off and then go again. It'll help save your broaches, and it'll try to help also make the journal go straight through the pulley. It could be where it's a little deeper at one end of the pulley than it should be. If you don't keep things like they should. I don't think it creates a big problem, but then again it could, depending on what you're broaching. So I got a bigger block here. Now when you run out of stroke, I just picked up a bigger block. This is something that I probably goofed up on or something. I don't know. I remember I was making a tool post grinder, and this may have been the bearing block for that, but initially. But anyway, it's going to be my pressing block now for this. Take up this extra room I need here for stroke, so it might not be long enough. I may have to get something different, but we are getting there. And you have to kind of reach underneath where it's coming out, because it will fall sometimes. Alright, so it's not falling, so I'm going to just pick this up and see if I can pull it through. Yep. So it comes through, it comes out the bottom, as you can see, and it's got the curled up chips where it's broached out that material. Sometimes it gets stuck in the teeth here. Of course, it's aluminum, so, and it curls up in there and it gets stuck, but it just pops right out. There it goes, focus. You can just pop it right out. So once you clear your broach and get everything set back up for the next pass, make sure your broach is good and clear. Sometimes I'll spray a little bit of WD-40 on here just to kind of give it a little bit of help. It keeps it from sticking so bad, especially on the next pass. So now your shim comes into play. You stick it in the back of your bung here. Pressure back off on the cylinder. Now this is going to be a little tighter now this time, because you took up a little bit of space behind it. So now you're going to finish out this journal on this pass. So you got to have the block, and you just want to kind of make sure it's halfway decent block. I like to try to make sure that I'm not leaving my shim here. It's really hard to capture this. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see it move or not, but sometimes it'll move when you release it. Okay, get our other block in here. Okay, so it's a little stiff, so probably what I'm going to need to do is get me a little piece of wood or something. And finish out that. It's not going to take hardly any pressure to get this the rest of the way through. However, it is going to take a ton of catching up. I don't know if that's going to be stiff enough. That should work. I can get it under there. That's the next thing. Alright. Like I say, it's not going to take a whole lot of pressure to get this to go the rest of the way through. Just a little bit of persuasion here. This thing will catch up. Take evidently a little more than what I thought. There it goes. Okay, see, it only took just a little tiny touch. Pop out the aluminum in the broach. Okay. So yeah, then when you're done, take out everything. And then you end up with a nice keyway in it. And I put the tape on there and help protect that finish a little bit. It's so easy to bung up these things. I mean, it doesn't take anything to create a smudge on them. So you just insert your bung in here, get it in, make sure you're over your clearance hole in your pressing plates. Get everything lined up and go again. So I'll zoom in real close on this one so that you can see the teeth going in, but that's about all you're going to see because it's hard to get a good angle here on this. Alright, let's see if we can get this in just a little bit more. You can just about push it through right to start with a little bit. Get you a little bit of room for your pressing block. Okay. The wonderful noises of the press. Alright, just give it a couple of taps. I had my block turned wrong the first time, evidently. I didn't get enough stroke out of it because I had my block turned wrong, but sometimes these chips will get in here pretty good. They're a little bit tough to get out, but for the most part they just pop right out most of the time. As long as you don't mess around the tooth part of the brooch, you should be able to pop them out with some brass or some aluminum or something. One thing I like to do right before I use the brooch, I take like a little diamond, it's plastic with diamond coated steel on it. It's just like a little file card or a sharpening stone or something, and I'll just lightly go across this edge here, not at an angle but flat, right flat on that ground surface, just to make sure there's no anything that's, because these brooches, you can broach steel, brass, aluminum, and pretty much get away with broaching those materials no problems. But if, let's say you broach a piece of steel that may have had some trashy components in it or something, and it just might have happened to have a hard spot or something, and it raised up a burr or something on one of these teeth, then you need to kind of knock that down so it doesn't give you a messed up journal. So I just clean the sides just to rub across it, and if I feel anything snag, I try to take care of it. Not necessarily take any dimension away from the brooch, but just clean off any kind of obstacle or imperfection on the tooth. Just as a precaution. It's nothing that you can't visually inspect and look at it and see if there's anything going on. So that's just something I do myself. Things are pretty dang sharp, so that's not that they need sharpening or honing or anything after you do a broaching. Use it. Just give it a little oil on there this time. It helps it slide through there better, and it also helps with doing away with that sticking that sometimes. Okay, so now I got to turn my block the other way to get it to start. And once I get down in at least a tooth or two, I can switch it around back to the other. Finish out this pulley, and that should be good for what he wanted, and be good for reference off this video. Back off a little bit. Of course, that's aluminum I'm using to tap that out with, so it's not gonna cause any issues up here on top of this brooch. As you can see, if it'll focus on it. Come on, focus, camera. I may have to zoom out. Okay, yeah. As you can see, that aluminum doesn't cause any problems on top of that. Tapping it like that, as long as you're at the bottom there, it'll be fine. You don't want to drive it through with a hammer, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't hurt anything to tap it just a little bit at the very end to get it out, as long as you're not damaging your part or anything like that. Okay guys, well, that's a little bit of broaching, the way I do it. It might not be exactly right, but the end result is you get a pulley with a keyway in it. So there you go. That's your standard setup for broaching keyways, and it does a fantastic job. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching the video, and if you're new to the channel, or if you just started watching, just hit that subscribe button, and we'll have a little bit of video content on here. There's a few videos on here of different things, different kits and stuff that I machine, different things, but I try to put some videos up here. I don't get much chance to do it anymore, so just be patient. Videos will come here and there. This is just a little video I'm doing because the guy wanted a little reference on how I did it, and so that's what I did. I wanted to make this video for him so he could see how I was going to do his pulleys, and that's it. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Like I said, if you like the video, subscribe, and you'll get to see when I do post videos. It'll let you know, and thanks for watching. Till next time, take it easy.